Sergio the Savage da Silva. And as I mentioned, Brian looks a lot healthier at this weight class.
It looks a lot less sucked out. I would agree with you. He's nuts ground game. I think he's more of a grappler than a striker. He's punching his balance, but he's a guy that wants to look to finish on the ground with a choke or submission of some kind. Very strong in that area is da Silva, as he looks to put another win on his record here tonight. But he's going to have a tall task, folks, against Zach Maslany. This guy, a local product again. Heard a lot of big things about him. He fills out the weight class, Mike, in a big way.
Yeah, he looks like a big bantamweight. And this is his hometown here. Got a lot of supporters here with him. Fighting out of 10th Planet. Mixed martial arts and finishers MMA is Zach Maslany. 1-1 as a pro. Again, da Silva taking this fight on less than a week's notice. He just fought for us a month ago.
Yeah, and he looked sharp. You know, after Borgata, he did a really nice job.
Lost a close decision.
Very close decision. But that fight was all over the place, and that's what I like about da Silva. There was no position where he wasn't very competitive, if not making a transition into the lead. So da Silva comes in maybe a little rehydrated, a little more conditioning from the last fight, still going to be there. So I don't think that's a negative thing. Maslany, though, he's been training hard for this one.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Brian, this kid's a tall 135-pounder. Once again, Dave Sarnoff for the official fighter introduction.
Tonight, the next bout of the evening is scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds in the bantamweight division. Timekeeper is my man, Freddie Blumstein. Now, standing to my left, fighting out of the blue corner, weighing in at 135.2 pounds, fighting for Long Island MMA and Victor Shallon, BJJ, out of Astoria, New York, Sergio da Silva. Standing across the cage, fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at 135.5 pounds, fighting for 10th Planet and Fisher's MMA out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Zach Maslany. Referee in charge of the action once the bell rings, Keith Peterson.
Zach Maslany, the hometown kid from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, in the long white. The Savage, Sergio da Silva in the orange. They touch gloves. Here we go. This fight's scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds in the bantamweight division.
Almost like we never left the confines of the Borgata.
I agree.
Nice leg kick there by da Silva.
Scored well with those kicks.
Actually, I even think Maslany adjusted his stance a little bit there, because da Silva's now gotten 4 of those leg kicks off.
Big overhand right hand that lands by da Silva. Nice uppercut there by Maslany. That got Sergio's attention.
Yep. Right into the ground there. See the guard of Maslany, but both fighters, some nice exchanges. Da Silva, very powerful leg kick there, and I think that Maslany kind of felt that and made a few adjustments to his stance. That speaks volumes of the power that's coming in that kick, as Maslany looks to maybe transfer to a little rubber guard here.
Looked like he pulled guard there, Brian. Sergio pulls out, does a nice job.
As we talked about earlier, though, da Silva, he's really at home on the ground here. This is where he likes to be. Maslany's got to use that long, lean body, retain guard. Maybe look to sweep out here. He had an opportunity rubber guard, but da Silva looked good in his feet. Now he's in a dominant position. Round 1 going his way.
And Sergio the Savage da Silva brings a lot more experience into the cage tonight. Maslany, only a couple amateur fights and a couple pro fights, 1-1. Da Silva, about quadruple that amount.
And that experience really helps him at taking a fight on short notice. because you have the pattern down, everything situated. Whether people know what these guys go through in these fight camps, the medicals, the state, the clearance, the licensing, it's a major ordeal. You don't just show up and step in the cage. As De Silva lands more leg kicks. Nice setup there to the strikes. Man, Maslany's got to kind of change up the pace here a little bit, again, as he looks through the rubber guard.
Almost halfway through the first round, and it's been all De Silva so far.
You know, you brought up the point about the weight. You know, if he does have a quick finish here, which I'm not going to say is or he isn't, but if he were to get a quick finish here, is that a good or bad thing? Because the mental side of it is, hey, you know, I went in heavier and, you know, I did a great job. As Maslany's going for a double armbar. I haven't seen that finish since Pride 1999. So I don't know.
De Silva landing some good right hands here, making Maslany pay for his guard work. De Silva looking to latch on the guillotine here. It looks like you see a more patient Sergio De Silva tonight. He's not rushing things. Really seems to be taking his time.
And I've seen a lot of his fights. Remember his Drew Nonstop Aguilar, who we saw have a great performance at Harris last week. Do I have that one right?
I don't see. Yes.
An absolute barn burner back and forth, man. The guys were in every position. That's kind of where I got to know Sergio De Silva and see, you know, how efficient he was in every position. So, and against a guy Drew, who is a name that you need to notice, man. So, I have to say this first round, it's De Silva.
Oh, it's all De Silva.
As he goes into side control here with a minute left. Maslany's got a wall walk here, Mike. Not enough transitioning as De Silva hits a knee to the side of the body. Not enough transitioning by Zach Maslany. He is going to have to regroup here.
Looks like he's just trying to stall out Sergio and get a stand-up.
Dan, and you know, when you have a dominant position like side control, as long as you're staying busy, you know, Keith Peterson's not just going to stand that up easily.
Again, Sergio stays on top.
Wet blanket style grappling there, which is very efficient. Sergio, he stay here all day. Rubber guard attempt again. And that's kind of the thing, like, when you go to something and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean you shouldn't go to it again, but I think you have to take those mental notes in a fight and say, what am I doing? You know, am I trying to waste time? Because there are times when you are trying to waste time. You know, get in a dominant position and go, but you don't want to be trying to jump in the same rubber guard 2, 3, and 4 times with a low percentage. You want to be working on getting back to your feet.
See the corner, Sergio De Silva. Dennis Bermudez trying to give him a few pointers here in between rounds.
Dennis Bermudez, UFC vet, really.
Oh, man. Kid's turning on. Minus his last fight, man. He's looked absolutely spectacular the last couple years.
Who's who in the name right now? Top UFC prospect. Maslany also getting some corner advice. Planet Jiu-Jitsu product from local guy. Round 1 did not go as planned.
Action.
De Silva comes out fast.
And like, and you brought up the weight and everything. It looks like his cardio is good. He seems to even have the most energy I've ever seen. So
excellent. Duck under. Got out of the way of the spinning back fist. Double leg takedown and brings him right over to his corner.
And Maslany, you know, he hesitated on that spinning back fist. It's almost like he was reconsidering throwing that technique, and that's not something that you can do. You got to go with reckless abandon and bad intentions when you throw a spinning back fist and take that risk of giving the opponent your back, which we saw in the previous fight a few times with Pat White. So
Maslany looking for the armbar here, but De Silva defending well.
Yeah, we know Maslany's definitely got a balanced guard here, and he can do a few things from here, but he's not taking enough submission attempts. And from that, you can have a transition. He can get up. He's got to work out. Is he looking knee bar there? I think he was. Yeah, he's looking knee bar.
Sergio needs to defend here, and he's doing it. See if he can make Maslany pay.
Maslany transitioned into a knee bar there. I really think Sergio is just a step ahead of him today, or should I say tonight here at the Sands. He's going to have to change things up a little bit.
Maslany really cannot mount any offense thus far in this fight. All De Silva.
And, Sergio De Silva will take this all the way into the locker room if it's given to him. He should do a little more damage, throw some more punches. He's got to watch his arm here, but Maslany is not securing the limbs or the arms before he moves his hips. There's just some errors in the process of his jiu-jitsu at this point. And again, De Silva being a step ahead, it doesn't mean he can't get caught, but he'll take this all night, get his win, and move on. It seems to, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. It might not be the most exciting for the fans, but you're in there to win the fight. So
get that W in his pocket, which he needs. He needs that in his career.
Yeah, especially coming off, what we just saw last at Cage Fury. He really wants to do it, and he's got to get busy here. He's got an opportunity to throw down some heavy elbows or some punches. As we get to 2 minutes left, he needs to take advantage of where he's at.
See what De Silva can do here with just under 2 minutes to go in the second round. Hasn't been in any danger thus far. But can he pour it on and finish Zach Maslany here in the second? Again, more rubber guards stalling him out.
And you see, the ref, I fought for this ref, and he has stood me up before, and I looked at him, and I said, why did you stand me up? So I know that he'll do it, but, he's seeing some movement. Maslany's securing some things. Man, it's just, he's got to maybe look to hip out, punch him off, and then have him come into a submission like we saw last week. It's a little bit of his idea. Yeah, that's what he was going for. This is much better. This is much tighter. This could be something here that I would be amazed if he pulls this off. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll be really impressed, to say the least, if he pulls this submission off.
He's okay.
He likes that rubber guard. It's
got long legs.
He's got long legs. It's a lot of pressure on the knee. It is uncomfortable. It strains the bicep and the neck, and you can choke out from there. You can control your fighter. But, again, the judges aren't going to see that most of the time. They're not going to see the submission attempt. He transitions well, but he eats a lot of strikes. And again, De Silva's just saying, "Hey, man, I'm here. I'm rolling with you." I don't know if he ate an elbow there. Is De Silva cut?
Let me see.
He might be cut. He may have ate an elbow, and that is one of the advantages of the style of Maslany. If you can hold him in that rubber guard and trap him, he can throw the elbows from his back. But man, a handful of fights will probably been finished that way. I look for higher percentage stuff. So as we take a look at the corners.
What does Maslany need to do going into this third round? He's obviously down 2-0. He can't hang out on his back in this third round. There's more slippery. He's more tired.
I think it's going to go into Maslany's not going to change who he is at this point. I get the impression in his gym or in his world, he finishes a lot of fights from his back and in that rubber guard because that last 30 seconds, Sergio was not comfortable. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't change anything at all and ends up in that same position trying, because he did cut De Silva with an elbow.
The third and final
will score
round.
some points, but not enough to win the fight. So to answer your question, I think Maslany will go back to what he did. But what does he need to do? He needs to land some much better striking, because we haven't really seen enough of that.
Again, De Silva lands a leg kick, ducks under the punches, gets a double leg, and ends up on top. And we're the same here in the third.
And I think De Silva has to respect that rubber guard a lot more than he did in round 2. Because one, he was threatening a little bit, as he said, and they got a sweep there. It's a nice job by Maslany. You know, it's right in the map, and he didn't see that coming. So what did Maslany do? He changed things up a little bit, and he's in the third round. He's got to get busy. De Silva took it on short notice. He's got to have that mental change, but he's got to go berserker on him here.
And this has been the chink in Sergio's armor a little bit. The cardio in the late rounds. He just needs to survive this round, though, Brian. And that's got to give him some confidence knowing he's won the first 2. That he just needs to get through this round.
Just as you say that, you know, this thing set up a triangle. He's rolling right into a triangle.
That is not good.
He's going to re-tighten it up. He's pull the head down. De Silva may be broken here. This is trouble. I mean, you know, and this goes back to the style that he is, that pure jiu-jitsu, that real nice technique. This is trouble. I mean, I can't see exactly from here how tight this is.
He's got it locked up. He's pulling the head down now.
This might be the
Sergio's
fight.
twisting out.
This might be the fight. He's going to lock it up.
He's trying to pull that left arm out. He's almost out, Brian. He's out. He's going to get out here.
Look at this.
He's going to get out.
Oh, my. Sergio De Silva. Man. Great job of getting out of what was a really slick submission attempt by Maslany.
He had it locked up.
I think he's looking at the time now as he looks to go into a guillotine. Zach Maslany knows where he's at in the fight, but his plan is to catch guys. And if you remember, we go back a week ago to the title fight, and you saw what Anthony Smith did.
Yes.
You know, basically saying, you can take me down and throw all the punches you want, but I'm going to catch you in a submission. And what a sick submission that we saw go down that night. I think that's kind of the Maslany approach. Is he's going to look to transition, and hey, a lot of guys would have been out with that triangle.
Oh, it was locked in. It was locked in tight.
I thought he was going to tap. I really did. I thought it was too tight. So
Sergio's got to be very careful here. He can't get sloppy. And again, looking to sweep his Maslany.
There is a submission he can get from there. It's like a hyperextension of the knee. It's very difficult.
Can Sergio De Silva hang on here with 2 minutes to go?
I think Sergio's okay, you know, going into this position with the time and where he's at, thinking he might be up. But, you know, some of those judges may have scored it a little bit differently with the elbow and some of the damage that Maslany did from his back. I probably would lean towards it being more Sergio with the takedown. So Maslany still, as we get to 1 minute and 37 to go, has got to try to finish this fight.
Absolutely. Does Sergio De Silva have enough in the tank to hold on here? Both fighters are tired, they're fatigued, running on fumes.
If I were Sergio De Silva, I would be thinking, get a little oxygen, but look to sweep. He has a few chances there to sweep, and just for the point side of it, as he looks to keep a nice, it's an interesting way of getting a Kimura. He can transition to an armbar here. Maslany's all over that, kind of reaching in his pocket. You know, smart move by De Silva, because you can lock up an arm and you can really burn some clock. in this position. The ref's going to look to it as a submission attempt. As De Silva's going to get that arm out. Oh, man, that's trouble. That's going to
switches to a straight armbar here. This could be it.
He's got to tap.
That's it. Oh, he tapped there.
I thought he tapped. How is he not tapping here? Rubber limbs of Maslany. Oh,
wow.
My goodness. This is insanity, folks. I do not want to feel the pain of Zach Maslany. Say nothing else about this guy, then he is never going to quit as the fight comes down to an end. Whoa. A submission specialist fight right there. Both guys threatened. That was awesome.
That was a great fight. That really was. And you know what? If Maslany's arm was in danger of being injured, he should have tapped because he was losing the fight. He was definitely losing the fight.
I'm going to go ahead and say that De Silva won that fight. It was very tight. Maslany threw some really nice submissions. How he made it through that end was, I do not want to be, in that position. He's going to have a sore arm for sure. But, wow, Sergio De Silva, Zach Maslany, awesome fight.
Excellent job by Sergio the Savage De Silva. As I mentioned earlier, took the fight on less than a week's notice at a higher weight class. Really fought a good, smart, solid fight. You got a chance to meet his children last night as well, man. Really seems like a good dad and adorable kids he's got. The Savage, Sergio De Silva, moves his record to 4-7. Hopefully we'll see him back in the CFFC cage in the next few months. For the official decision, once again, Dr. David Sarnoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we do the judges' scorecard. Judge Brogan scores the fight 29-28. Judge Sparacino scores the fight 29-28. And Judge Cardo Urso scores the fight 30-27 by a win.